Senator Bernie Moreno says crypto market structure legislation could be ready by late May, and he is openly accusing banks of creating fake noise around stablecoins. The pressure point is simple. Moreno says crypto structure talks could hit late May, and banks are the ones pushing back. Crypto bill breakthrough is the search phrase, but the useful issue is who gains, who loses, and which rule or right changes in practice. That is why the practical rule change matters more than the political slogan around it. Moreno told a Washington audience that market structure legislation could move toward finalization by late May, giving the industry one of its clearest political timelines in years. The detail that matters most is who gets access under the rule change and who keeps the power to say no. This puts a real procedural marker on the story instead of leaving it at rhetoric. He also said banking sector attacks on stablecoin provisions were fake noise, arguing that the incumbent system is resisting competition rather than identifying genuine consumer protection failures. In plain English, regulation shapes access, product range, and legal confidence long before it shows up in a token chart. Once the formal structure appears, the winners and losers become easier to identify. For people typing crypto bill breakthrough, the practical issue is enforcement, access, or voting power, not the headline alone. The discussion ties into the broader Clarity Act debate over which regulator controls which assets, how stablecoin issuers are supervised, and how exchanges, custody, and token classification would finally be handled in law. That is the step that turns a debate into operational consequences. The mechanism is legislative sequencing. Without clear jurisdiction and a stablecoin framework, every other rule around market access, disclosure, and platform operation stays harder to enforce cleanly. For people searching KW, the useful question is not whether policy sounds positive or negative. It is who can operate, what they can offer, and under what constraints. The legal mechanism matters because markets adapt to rules long before they adapt to narratives. That matters because U.S. crypto policy has spent years stuck between agency turf fights and partial bills. A real late May push would not just change headlines. It could change where companies build and how institutions judge legal risk. A small drafting change can shift an entire market if it widens or narrows the legal path for exchanges, issuers, brokers, or investors. This is where affected users, platforms, or investors start calculating real compliance or access costs. What remains unclear is how much bipartisan agreement actually exists behind the scenes, whether stablecoin language becomes the sticking point again, and whether the timeline survives committee and floor politics. The next signal is not another speech. It is draft text, committee movement, and visible agreement on who regulates what. That is the point where optimism starts turning into something markets can actually price. The open question is not cosmetic. It decides how much room the market actually has. That leaves crypto bill breakthrough hanging on the next formal step, because speeches and posts matter less than enforceable rules or court filings. This stays a rules story until the next legal step lands, because access, compliance, and market structure change long before price action catches up. The next official move matters more than another round of commentary.